When you say our people, what do you mean?
Catholics and Eastern Orthodox and Coptic Orthodox.
Our people, I mean, just as long as you're a Catholic, you're our people. Is that what you mean?
There's no other reason to be called our people. In a fundamental sense, there are other ways we can speak of that, like nationalistically, ethnically, but I'm talking religiously. Here's my position. The Catholic Church is the new Israel. There are those who've separated themselves from the Catholic Church, the Copts in Egypt, the Eastern Orthodox, but they, in a connected sense, they're still our people, but not in an absolute sense because they're not in the vineyard. Okay.
I mean, I don't agree with what you're saying.
Well, if you're not a Catholic, I wouldn't expect you to. So this is the situation with them.
But you said you're the new Israel. Where in the scripture that says that?
Okay, Jesus says that the field, the vineyard, will be taken away from the Jews and given to another.
Yeah, it did say another people, but it said that stupid people or something like that.
Not a stupid people, no.
What did it say?
Another people.
No, it didn't just say another people. I know the scripture that it's talking.
Right, it does say stupid people. What do you think it says then? So
it's something that's similar to stupid.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. It'll give it to another. And my position is this, it's the position of the Catholic Church. The field is given, since Israel is dispossessed at the crucifixion of Christ, at that point, a new Israel comes into being. So whatever Israel is, it has to come into existence 33 AD. The only group that's been in existence since 33 AD is the Catholic Church.
That's the Romans.
No, not Romans.
That is the Romans that conquered Jerusalem, and so they took the place.
They conquered Israel in 63 BC, thereabouts. They were already in possession. They're not.
Who was the first ruler of the Catholic in 33 AD?
Peter.
Is he a Catholic?
Yes.
Exactly. So Peter, you mean Peter the Israelite?
Peter the apostle, yeah. So, what we have then is the new Israel. The Catholic Church comes into existence. Peter is its head. The apostles are the chief ministers, and they appoint successors as time passes on, all the way down to 2024. And this is that to which all those who wish to call themselves Christians must belong in order to be in the vineyard of God. Just as to be a true member of Israel in the age of the Old Testament, you had to be a Jew. Today you have to be a spiritual Jew. That is to be a Catholic. So any questions? You usually got a question for me when I've stopped talking.
Which council passed that law then?
Which council?
Yeah, which council passed that law?
The Catholic Church is the new Israel.
Right.
It wasn't passed. All the early Christians say this is the church which succeeds Israel. Jesus is the Messiah. Those who follow him are the true followers of God. Just as the apostles, just as the prophets had the true faith, so those who follow them in the Old Testament had the true faith. So those who follow Jesus now have the true faith. When you read about when you read about the land being transferred spiritually to a new people, it's got to be those who follow God. Those who follow Christ are following God. So it follows. The true followers of God are not the Jews, because the Jews crucified Christ. So the true followers of God only at that point are those who follow Christ. And they're the followers of the apostles, and they're the Catholics.
How can the Jew crucify Christ? You're lying. Why are you lying?
It's in scripture.
No, there's no scripture that says that.
Really?
Yeah, the Jews didn't crucify Christ.
What if I show you?
Show me.
Do you accept all of the Bible?
Right.
You do, yeah?
Yes. How can the Jews crucify Christ when they didn't have any power?
Romans gave the Jews
This
the
guy is
power.
such a liar, man. How can the Jews crucify Christ?
No, the Romans gave the power to the Jews to kill him, to crucify him.
No, the Romans are the ones that put the spear in him. They're the ones that put him on the cross. They're the ones that gave him the cross.
Well, why did Pontius Pilate wipe his hands?
No, because he said that he wiped his hands because he said that they're denying his king. They're denying. It's like I'm denying you to be who you say you are. But they didn't crucify him because they denied him. But then they accepted it because one of the high priests says it is preeminent.
Oh, you're done. Okay.
It's a prophecy that one should come and die for his people. So they already knew that he was meant to.
Yeah, just looking for something at the moment.
Right, but when Judas sold Christ to the Romans, the Romans came with their Christ. So at what point did the Jews crucify Christ?
Okay. Acts chapter 3. So, Peter is talking to the multitude of Jews.
Acts 3 verse 1.
Okay. Go to verse 13. The God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus, whom you delivered up and denied in the presence of Pilate when he decided to release him. But you denied, let me finish, you denied the Holy and Righteous One and asked for a murderer to be granted to you and killed the author of life.
Did you say verse 13?
13 onwards, yeah, read 13.
So what verse did you just read?
I read from 13 onwards.
That didn't say that in the KJV.
What's it read in the KJV?
Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned. That's what it says.
Are you at chapter 3, verse 13 of Acts?
The God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, has glorified his son Jesus, whom you delivered up and denied him in the presence of Pilate. Denied.
Delivered up, right?
Yeah,
Carry on.
And denied. Remember,
No, carry on, then we'll talk.
when he was determined to let him go,
Carry on.
but he denied the Holy One and the just and desired a murderer to be granted unto him. So,
And finish just one more clause.
and killed the Prince of Life.
There we are. That's sufficient. He's talking to the Jews, you killed the author of life.
So basically, they didn't strike him, but they delivered him. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Well, of course, they didn't do the deed. Basically, when a man shoots another man, the bullet is the one that kills him, and the gun is the instrument, and the bullet.
So Judas was the one that did that from the 12 disciples.
Now, according to Peter, the Jews are the ones who did. The Jews delivered him up. The Jews killed him.
Peter who?
You see, the instruments, the Romans are the instrument used by the Jews, the unknowing instruments. The Romans were willing to leave him, to let him go around. Pilate said, I find no guilt in this man. But the Jews insisted. And then they said, his blood be upon us and on our children. And if you remember when Mel Gibson made the film, The Passion of the Christ, the Jews, worldwide Jews said, remove that, because they knew what it meant for them. They're collectively guilty for the killing of Christ. That's why their nation was destroyed.
Peter O2.
And it's why St. John speaks of the Jews as opposed to his fellow racial group that had accepted Jesus.